Good morning again, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Look at that hair. It's still crazy, and it looks like I've been electrocuted. Anyway, let's talk about Canelo and Edgar Berlanga, because this fight has been announced. This is going to be Canelo's next fight. 14th of September, I think is the date. And Berlanga, 27 years of age, undefeated in 22, no draws, 17 KOs. He's a decent opponent, 6'1", so he's got the dimensions. Reaches 73 inches, is according to BoxRec. His last fight was in February against Pedrick McCrory. Before that, last year, about a year ago roughly, he fought Jason Quigley. He stopped McCrory in 6. He outpointed Quigley over 12, and he did it, very comfortably. He's also got a win over Steve Rolls, who's a decent sort of gatekeeper type from Canada. He won a 10-round decision over him. Marcelo Caceres, he beat him. Caceres at the time was 32-1, and he was outpointed. So, we're talking about a guy who hasn't fought anyone even approaching Canelo's stature or capability. But he's a viable opponent. Now, a lot of people are going to say, okay, this is a usual cherry pick. What is becoming a usual cherry pick by Canelo, because the two fighters that people wanted to see Canelo fight were his WBC mandatory, and God knows how long he was the mandatory for. I think he's given up the mandatory role. That's David Benavidez. He moved up to light heavyweight and outpointed Alexander Vosdik, who still had something left. Vosdik was, he went the distance. He was later on. He was putting some heat on Benavidez. Didn't really threaten to win, but was certainly competitive in the second half of the fight. And that made people think perhaps Benavidez will move down to 168. Now, he was Canelo's mandatory for a long time. And the WBC, because they're in love with Canelo and he's a massive cash cow to them, they didn't enforce their mandatory. They didn't tell him he's got this is the usual nonsense you get from the WBC. They've got their favourites, let's put it that way, and they will absolutely give virtually carte blanche to their favourite fighters to do what they want. Now Canelo, because he's got all the belts, basically Benavidez and also David Morrell have been forced up to light heavyweight. Morrell, in my opinion, if Canelo had fought the mandatories and taken on the very best, which he is not doing at the moment, I think Morrell would be the last man standing. I rate Morrell very, very highly indeed. I think he'd beat Canelo and I think he'd beat Benavidez. And people say, yeah, but he's too inexperienced. He hasn't had enough fights. I'm not happy with the inactivity, but if you're talking about ability, and he's pretty much in his prime, I rate Morrell very, very highly indeed. Very highly indeed. And he's fighting for a vacant light heavyweight belt soon as well. So Canelo has sort of managed to sort of navigate his way past his best two opponents at 168, and they've moved up just probably out of frustration. And to be honest with you, if you've got one guy who's holding all the belts to ransom, I don't blame them for moving on, because they've got their own careers to carve out. Remember when Amir Khan constantly talked about fighting Mayweather or Pacquiao or both, and he never did? He was kind of hanging around, just waiting for them. You shouldn't do that. It's like Sky Nicholson at the moment. She wanted to fight Amanda Serrano, and Serrano's busy with Katie Taylor. Serrano's got all the other belts. Sky's got the WBC featherweight belt. So Sky says, I'm just going to do my own thing. And that's the right attitude to have. Don't go chasing after and simping after some bloke who don't want to fight you or a woman who don't want to fight you. Carve out your own legacy in your own way. I think that's absolutely the best policy. But having said all that, I don't think we can say that Edgar Berlanga is a bad opponent for Canelo. He's clearly not the best one, the one that we wanted, but he does have ability. He's from Puerto Rico, so that gives you the Mexican versus Puerto Rico vibe, which has a very, very long history in boxing, that rivalry. This will be in Las Vegas, which is Canelo's favourite hunting ground. And to be honest with you, I don't see Berlanga winning, but I'm not going to do a preview yet. Obviously, it's too soon. This isn't till September. But it is it's a decent enough opponent, but it's such a jump up for Berlanga. I mean, unless he's got gears that he hasn't had to use previously, we're not going to see any kind of revelatory performance where he suddenly surprises us all. I mean, you take, for example, Dimitri Bivol, when he beat Canelo, my prediction in that fight is that he would beat Canelo but get robbed. In fact, he didn't. They tried it on in those first 4 rounds. If you look at the cards in the first 4 rounds and the respective performances by both guys, they were trying to navigate their way to a points win for Canelo, the judges were. It was horrible score in those first 4 rounds, absolutely horrible. But we knew Bivol had the ability to beat Canelo. We just weren't sure he'd get the decision. He did, as it happens. With Berlanga, unless he has got another few levels to move up and he's not shown us everything in his toolkit, I think he'll get beaten by Canelo. But that's the fight that we got, so we'll live with it. We'll go with it. Canelo versus Edgar Berlanga on the 14th of September of this year. It's a while away yet. But what do you think? What do you think of this fight? Are you happy with it? Who do you think Canelo should fight? That's probably a more interesting question. And of course, leave your comments below as normal, and I'll answer them. I'll have a read. If you've subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. If you're new and you could subscribe, it'd be a big, big help to the channel. Build up Joe Stunner Boxing. Plenty of videos for you to watch. Nearly 2,000 videos I've done now, so you've got plenty to sift through. Okay, I will hit the like button as well, because they count them. It's all algorithms, and I don't even understand what the hell that is. But anyway, thank you very much, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye for now.